So it's called Fallout. And no, we're legit not talking about any of this exactly. We're talking 1997 and 1998's original masterpiece, Barbecue.
Served with your choice of side dish from just $6.25.
It sounds a lot like it's about nuclear war. And it is. It is about nuclear war, but it's also about society and drugs and religion and role-playing and gambling and economics and simply put, it's a trimetric, open-world, role-playing survival game with turn-based combat and with multiple fluid canon endings.
You think you can
Honestly, when I did my yearly PC Gamer visitation this past year, I was blown away at how deep this game turned out to be, and how incredibly brutal and unforgiving it is. Get jacked up by some big-ass scorpions. Fucking scorpions! Or a little freak bear. Or just some rats who all slowly come at you from all over the map while you sit there waiting to get bit up. And I have a list going of 90s PC games I maybe never finished or didn't play or honestly can't fully remember. And this one was a huge one I remember causing major waves in my childhood mind. It's one of those games that forces you to be patient with it. You have to take your time, you have to level up, you have to explore. You have to... Actually, you can beat this game a multitude of ways, including not ever fighting a single battle and or killing every single being you encounter. You can do anything. And you do it all here, but not exactly here, per se. Kind of more north, which is that way.
War never changes. In 2 brief hours, most of the planet was reduced to cinder.
You see, following a worldwide nuclear war between the US and China 1 century before, you find yourself in Southern California in 2161. Stretching essentially from Mariposa, California, the Mariposa military base, one of the final levels of the game, in the Sierra Nevada mountains down to the Glow, which is likely somewhere around the multiple mountain ranges to the northeast of San Diego. Your mission, though, begins in Vault 13. Believed to be somewhere near modern-day Mount Whitney. I mean, you're initially sent out of your safe, comfortable vault because the water chip in your vault, which purifies the vault's drinking water, is broken, and you need to find a new one.
I think you're the only hope we have.
You're totally on your own and your own ability to learn and interact with the wasteland of Southern California as you make your way. Navigating the landscape, you initially find yourself in Death Valley, discovering civilizations like Shady Sands, another vault, Vault 15 where you think the water chip is, Junktown, oh yeah, the hub, and the poster boy of the game, the Brotherhood of Steel, who are a post-apocalyptic, I wouldn't say cult, but religious organization just running around in fucking mechs.
I am Rhombus, head of stuff.
All while leveling up your character, completing jobs and tasks, knowing you'll probably have to get some power armor to actually get through some of the rougher enemies that have appeared. And it was totally in the design of the game that you'd be able to be punished with death for battling characters beyond your capabilities, and truly it is a game of patience, so you will go out and die and come back and die and come back and die and go.
Your life ends in the wasteland.
You learn of and retrieve the water chip from a vault below the ghoul and super mutant infested city of Necropolis, and upon saving your own vault, you bring the chip back. You're now tasked to finally head down to the Boneyard, which is Los Angeles, and you learn of the children of the cathedral, who are basically in Long Beach, and they're a front for the game's main villain, the Master, who is a heavily mutated and transformed human turned into a super being who believes his FEV, the Fourth Evolutionary Virus, is the only way to save humanity by turning everyone into a new species. You know, uniting everybody as a freak.
We won't change. Not unless we are of one people. One. One race. One. What shall it be? Excellent.
Speaking of, you meet some interesting freaks along the way. I mean, you get right up in your face, directly Here, as you watch in the glory of 90s detailed character models channel the story of the wasteland in your little baby vault ears.
You not ghoul. I knew. Not fool Harry.
Absurdly detailed and thought-out storytelling and game implementation. I mean, as you point and click your way, killing and becoming more powerful on your quest to destroy the Master via the Mariposa military base that is filled with FEV mutated super mutants. But this task can be accomplished innumerable amount of ways. I mean, you can literally just talk well with a high speech skill the entire game as you work out the build of your character all the way up to the end and just get by being charismatic, essentially. I mean, you have a skill sheet you must work on as you gain experience in the game, also earning various perks every few levels. And as you skillfully decide where to put your various experience points, like being strong and good with your hands or just incredibly good at talking to people, you progress. But don't forget to get some agility, because that determines how many action points you have, which is how many moves or the amount of which you are able to use the weapons that you have in combat. This is kind of important. This is a huge piece of where Fallout's design puzzle fits into place. You see, you can legit go all the way to the very end of the game if you want, right from the second you step outside your little vault. And of course, in the first playthrough, it's hard to even determine you can do that, but that is where the key nugget of true gaming freedom blossoms from inside of Fallout. That is kind of where Tim Kaine, the original creator of Fallout, way back in 1994, started on his own, just developing and coding a game engine while working at Interplay. Basically just making something he wanted to make, and he was the only team member at the time. He did it totally on his own for 6 months. And
what I did was I would stay at work after hours in a conference room, and I'd order pizza, and I'd tell people if they wanted to come to the conference room after they were done with their work, we could talk about games.
And so Kaine loved GURPS, G-U-R-P-S. It's a tabletop game system called the Generic Universal Role-Playing System, in which via a set of D&D-like rules you could apply to any game or lore or self-created pen and paper game you desired, you wrote the story. I mean, the GURPS system managed the interaction. You're off to the endless possibility of self-created worlds that you and your friends just thought the fuck up while you played.
Hi, my name is Timothy Kaine. I'm the producer and lead programmer at Interplay on the GURPS Fallout project. And GURPS is a generic universal role-playing system designed by Steve Jackson Games. Post-apocalyptic world, there's been a nuclear war, the planet's pretty much been devastated. You get to play any character you wish to design. You can be a combat-oriented character, you can be a diplomatic character, you can just be a thief character, you can run in and take what you want and leave.
In fact, up until near the end of development, well into his team growing to 30 plus people, he was using the GURPS system within his own game engine via an official license. And upon learning of all the ultra-violence, some specific issues like the ability to kill children, despite its severe consequences in the game, the GURP license was lost. But through 3 years of development, him and the team wrote out a vision statement that kept their crew locked into creating something that seemingly never had been done on a scale like that before. Until Diablo came out in 1997, the same release year as Fallout 1. I mean, when they were around the corner on their final development, Diablo posed a bit of a contention with the team, but emboldened them further in their already unique mission, really. Now, unlike Diablo, which is an isometric open-world RPG fantasy game, a style of RPG that had been seen a million times at this point, the fantasy genre had been way done. So Fallout was a pretty new package, all the way from the box it came in to the artistic direction. I mean, the manual of the game is themed of it as it being like an actual manual to be given to the character if you were like leaving the vault. It's like instructions on how to live in the new world. Things like this combined with a unique idea to have all the technology in the game be a what-if 1950s sci-fi concepts became real after the world ends, created a package that was absolutely unmatched in its imagination. Despite its relation to games like Wasteland, Ultima, and XCOM, which heavily inspired it, I mean, nothing to this level of graphical quality, true non-morally guided decision-making, and open-ended exploration combined had ever been created in a video game. I mean, many of the game's visuals are in references like Mad Max 2 and A Boy and His Dog and 50s features of sci-fi films. I mean, that's evident enough, but putting it all together? Nah, ain't been done. Upon the game's release in October of 1997, the reverberations throughout all of gaming history were immediately profound, and of course the big risk had been seen by Interplay and by Brian Fargo, but they had succeeded. Tim Kaine and his team pulled it off. And it was time to make a sequel, which in my opinion fully crystallized the concept of the game with some minor improvements, and created what was widely considered one of the greatest video games of all time. And a last-minute graphic design decision by art director Leonard Boyarsky, due to the blank page being left in the manual when the test prints came back, he decided something should go there. Well, that became a key plot of what would become the sequel.
Chosen One. There are things you must know. The village is dying. The signs are everywhere.
That is the GECK, the G-E-C-K, the Garden of Eden Creation Kit, which serves as the main plot device of Fallout 2. It's a terraforming kit that, through science, makes the landscape of the wasteland easier to farm. A pretty damn handy thing to have when you're attempting to further the survival of human civilization. Now, Fallout 2 takes place a little more north than the original game's area. More Northern California, really. It's covering the tip of Northern California, way out in the Nevada desert, including Reno, and the bottom being designated by both San Francisco and the previous game's Vaults 13 and 15. In this installment taking place in 2241, nearly 80 years after the first game, you are part of a primitive post-apocalyptic tribe. These are all descendants of Vault 13, and you are a direct descendant of the Vault Dweller from Fallout 1. Tasked with finding the GECK to end a long drought in your native town of Arroyo, you again traverse the wasteland, gaining experience points and skills along the way, and in general, many quality of life enhancements compared to the first game. Companions you convince to join on your quests along the way are easier to control, and the world itself is dramatically more vast and full of weaponry, and there's a lot more exploration to be had. Hell, you could even go to New Reno and pretty much just run with gangs there and gamble for eternity, and after you eventually do find the GECK and you return to your village to find that the new US government has destroyed it along with much of the west coast, and they call themselves now the Enclave. I found myself on my second playthrough of Fallout 2 going the be a total psycho who just kills everyone and takes their things approach. Which is fun, but definitely challenging considering the plethora of ways you can solve and any and all of the tasks and missions in the game. Now, you eventually reach San Francisco, and upon many missions across the wasteland in various ways, you're able to gain control of the Enclave's oil rig in hopes to escape America for a better place. It instead, of course, being owned by the Enclave, goes into autopilot mode and takes you to the final setting of Fallout 2. It's an offshore oil rig in the home base of the Enclave, where you confront Dick Richardson. His name is Dick Dickerson. This game is so funny. Oh my god. Who's the president of the United States? Enclave Island. This game introduces the player to the concept that the vaults, in fact, are not exactly preserving humanity to survive the apocalypse. Of the hundreds scattered around America, most are actually experimental chambers specifically created to be societal and scientific litmus tests for various outcomes of a post-apocalyptic humanity.
The vaults were set up to test humanity. Some had not enough food synthesizers. Others had only men in them. Yet others were designed to open after only 6 months. They each had a unique set of circumstances designed to test the occupants.
Including the Enclave's plan to experiment on the dwellers of Vault 13 from Fallout 1 because they were to be a 200-year control of test subject of untouched humanity. They were not supposed to leave the vault, but you did because of the water chip. The logic here. And after finding a way to sneakily murder him without alerting the entire base, just murk you instantaneously, he reveals, of course, his plan is to release the FEV from Fallout 1 onto the wasteland, as they have modified it to only kill the mutated, which anybody who lives in the wasteland, the post-apocalyptic world, they're mutated. It's only the pure people from before times that aren't mutated. The logic here. Following a final confrontation with the cybernetic super mutant freak Frank Horrigan, by the way, as a hint, just use your science on the turrets inside the room so you don't have to fight all of them. They will turn and shoot him instead. And then you and the other followers you can just fuck them up. You return to Aurora where the generational inhabitants of Vault 13 live in harmony with their newly terraformed society. Via the GECK. Because you have the GECK until the end, so that's why you use it. Yeah! Happy ending, right? Well, on the developer side of things, this peace and unity could not be farther from the truth. Original creator Tim Kaine, art director Leonard Boyarsky, and lead developer Jason Anderson left the Fallout 2 team early in the development of the game due to legitimate disputes with the series' executive producer and overall series controversial figure Brian Fargo, the founder of Interplay. They made their mark before leaving, and the expansion of Fallout 1 to 2 is regarded by many as an incredibly great improvement. Subsequently, Brian Fargo's Interplay Entertainment, which developed the first 2 Fallout games, faltered in the coming years until the IP of Fallout was bought by developer Bethesda and transformed entirely in the series that is commonly known today, an FPS action shooter. The fucking shooting in this game is so bad. Fallout to me has been one of the greatest examples of impassioned game creators just following their gut and heart to make something they wanted to see come alive. I mean, after being sold to Bethesda, the series took the concept and converted it into an FPS action role-playing game with an emphasis on combat. I mean, some feeling it lost the flavor and intrigue of the original games, but I mean, to me, it just seems like that was the only natural progression if you want it to stay popular and relevant. Playing Fallout 1 and 2, it's an absolute work of patience. Its rewards are plentiful, but hard-earned. As always, the landscape of game development in the 1990s was a totally different world than we have now, with small dev teams and ferocious expectations from game companies.
How the hell do they expect me to run this unit if they keep shortchanging me on supplies?
Yet, in that attempt to draw blood from stone, sometimes incredible yields appeared as these silver-lined coats of immersive armor you could go and put back on over and over again and just have a great time. Fallout is a great case of how long-term effective following an artistic want or need beyond adhering to the trends of a time or trying to be the next best thing reverberates in ways that are absolutely unpredictable but always effective. Staying true to oneself, but always eyes on the prize to bring to life something you just plain believe in. And those around you believe in with you until, the impending results are absolutely undeniable. In retrospect, in 2026, it seems like a natural part of the gaming lexicon that taking passionate risks from a limited amount of people's ideas could yield huge ramifications in gaming culture and pathos. But back then, they just wanted to do it. They wanted to see it exist. And along with, the way the pieces fell into place both naturally and from sheer will, they wanted to see it through to the end. I mean, people respond so directly to this kind of story that it's almost like we want to manufacture it in any way possible, overcoming impossible odds just for the sake of being good. Yet, artistic integrity is never based on marketability or prediction. You see that every day with people who start an entire career randomly in their life by spouting off a silly phrase drunk outside of a bar.
Our American way of life. Isn't it grand?
It's almost impossible to know the intention that goes into the magic that happens when something just clicks with society. But how it came together for Fallout 1 and 2 is absolutely quantifiable and documented deeply. I mean, you only need to play both games for a good amount of time to feel that warmth of a great story unfolding in a setting and system that knows no bounds for you but your own personal expression and intrigue. That is so absurdly rare, and will always be part of the mystical chords of creation that bind the threads of artistic and intellectual striving together.
Of me when you are all